Lafayette, Louisiana has some of the best urban form of any small to mid-sized American city I've been to. I'm going to share a few things that I think make it great, as well as a few minor gripes that I think can make it better. The constant buildings on both sides create what urban planners would call a sense of enclosure. This instinctively makes us feel safer, and people are drawn to these areas, including Americans who pay way too much to go to Europe to take pictures of streets like this. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is actually pretty rare. But one thing we love about European streets is they often bend and turn. We are more likely to walk down and towards things that we see and into. So the fact that Jefferson Street has this bend, psychologically, this moves people down the block, even people who weren't planning on coming this way. There's also great delineation between the walkway and the place where people drive. Parked cars and trees offer protection from errant vehicles. It wasn't always this way. This actually happened in the 90s. Before that, it was like a 5-lane road in one direction. One gripe I would have is that not enough of these stores are taking advantage of this ample area, but I have a separate video for that. Coming to the intersection, you can see a lot of stuff that they've worked on that have made this way better. These beefy bollards and big base plates to lights protect pedestrians who are waiting at the intersection, and the continued texture of the walkway onto the crosswalk communicates to drivers that pedestrians belong there. Throughout the downtown, there's a lot of these. These are actually movable bollards. And every Saturday, they take them and stick them in here and close this off to cars. It becomes a pedestrian mall. Now, this area is shut off to cars both on the weekends and on major festivals. And I guarantee you, shutting down the street to cars does a lot more for these businesses than having it be a 5-lane highway that people drive through. Another benefit of the preserved urban edge is entrance frequency. Lots of little shops and businesses to keep people and have them stick around. You want lots of things to do for lots of different types of people during different times of day. We are pro-social beings, and when we see other people in areas, we're more drawn than when we see dead areas. The best way to make a downtown lively is to break your buildings into the smallest possible unit and attract the smallest possible business. I love these mid-block crossings that have the same design vernacular with the brick pathway. And I love these parklets, where businesses are given the choice to say, hey, we'd rather have 3 extra tables seated than 1 car. I love that the added space they took away from cars is actually impermeable, so water can be soaked up here, and that there's tables like this. And yesterday I saw a guy playing chess here. Okay, so here's my biggest gripe. Throughout downtown, they've added 4-way stops. 4-way stops are great for slow traffic areas. It makes traffic more predictable. It slows cars down. In some ways, it becomes more efficient. It's what you should do as a city to your downtown areas. So I was really disappointed when I saw that Jefferson Street had all of these lights. However, I was notified that they're actually taking these away. Next, I love what they did in this gap of buildings right here. So it's very typical in America for there to be buildings that have been torn down, leaving a sort of like gap tooth like smile to that side of the street. Here, they put a more mobile unit to make food and have some pretty intentional placemaking and food trucks as well to fill this space with activity. Big dead zones like this and others that I've seen can often deter people from continuing on as they walk down the street. Look, the bollard did its job. Now, the last and final gripe has to do with this. This big building kills the continuity of the street. There's only one thing to do in this building, and that's go to Chase at that end of the street. This block would be better served if there were a lot of little entrances on that side of the road. And the city really can't do anything about this because that's a big private building. I do think, however, they could convert these parking spots into little pop-up shops and food trucks, and maybe make table spaces right there to give people other reasons for being over there. Overall, they're doing something special here. It's a city that punches way above its weight by embracing a few things that are easy for cities to do, and most of these things can be done on a shoestring of a budget. You don't have to have fancy bollards, you could put up barricades, you don't have to have brick pathways, you just have to take up space. And if more cities did this, they would create places that more people want to be. And by making a space that serves their community, they also attract people far and wide. They're known for their festivals.